Good evening, everyone. How are you? I hope you're fine. Today we'll be doing grade 11 functions. Okay, so I'll be looking at the parabolic graph, which is also called the quadratic graph. Okay, so what I want you to look at right now, I want us to just introduce some few things. I already put some few question papers, so right now I just want you to know what we will be dealing about. So we have the general equations of the parabola. Those equations are, we have two equations. We have the one for the turning point and we have the one for the quadratic. Okay, so the one we'll be mostly using it is this one: y is equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the quadratic formula. You know it when you have to, like mostly in algebra, you find which your numbers are like this. Okay, but we have another one which is y is equals to a x minus p squared plus q. So this one is for the turning point. So for now we are going to ignore this one. We are going to be focusing on this one, and then this one we'll check it when we're going to be doing the turning point formulas, whereby this another one for the turning point dot. So yeah, so let's leave this one for now, but they can be like they can give you they mean the same thing, just that this one is in another way, this one is in another way. Like you can, if you are smart enough, like if they can give you a equation like maybe 2 and then say x minus 1 squared plus 4. If you expand and do this, it will take you back to this one. Like it will be in a form of maybe 2x squared plus x plus 4. I'm not sure if this thing will give me this, but this one, if you expand it and open your brackets, it will take you back to this form. Okay, so let's continue with the properties. So the things that you have to know about this thing is just that if a, the first value, is less than 0, this one, and this is the first value which determines your graph. If it is less than 0, it means your graph is what? It's set. So it will look like this. So if when maybe in the exam they are saying find the value of a, b, c, and you find what your a is negative, and then your graph is like this, you know what you're correct. So it is said. Okay, and then if your a is greater than 0, the graph will be like this. It will, they call it is happy. Okay, and then so these are the two graphs that you have. So this one has a, like it is negative ax squared plus bx plus c. This one is positive ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, and then let's continue. The graph has an axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry, it is also called the turning point, but this is the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. And then what is the equation for axis of symmetry? It is what? X is equals to negative b over 2a. Okay, so what is the negative b? So everything is from this formula. You see, so when they say negative b, they mean what if line it was negative 4 or positive 4, we are gonna say negative 4 if it is positive 4. And then if it's let's just say it is positive 4, you're just gonna say negative 4. But if it was positive, if it was negative 4, you're gonna say minus negative 4 again. Okay, and then 2a, so over 2, since my p is 4, you're gonna say 4 there. Boom, you're done. And if my 4 is negative, you're gonna say 2. If my value for a is negative, you're gonna say negative 1. If my value for a is positive, you're just gonna say 1. You see, you just put it. So b, a, b, c, so it is b over a. So you just take your values there and then simplify them and put them there on the equation. So now let's move. Let's move. So what you have to know is this, that the function has one turning point. Okay, so the function has what? One turning point. And then the turning point formulas, it is the one that you use x is equals to negative b over 2a to find the x coordinate of the turning point, and then you will have to get the y coordinate of the turning point. You take the x value and substitute it on the what? On the equation. I will show it later on. So now I want us to continue. So let's continue. Let's go to the rules of sketching. Rules of sketching. Okay, so let me write them down. H equals time. Okay, so here are the rules of sketching. So number one, you have to find your y-intercept, whereby you let x is equals to 0. What do I mean by the y-intercept? So this is your Cartesian plane. So this is the y-intercept. So where there is the y-intercept in the middle here, where it is 0, so x it is equals to 0 there. Okay, and then in the okay, sorry, this is x-intercept, sorry. So in the x-intercept, this is x. So in the x-intercept, y is equals to 0. In the y-intercept, x is equals to 0. Okay, like for instance, if maybe your equation, in the equation where there is x, you put what? 0, and you get your y value. In the equation where there is y, you put what? 0, and you do what? You do your math and you get your things. So find the axis of symmetry. These are the rules for sketching. These are the steps that you must follow to plot your graph, because if you miss only one step, your graph won't be successful. Okay, so find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is the x of the x coordinate of the turning point, the x coordinate only. This is the axis of symmetry. So how do you find the axis of symmetry? It is x is equal to negative b over 2a. I told you where there is b, you put your value for b in the equation. Where there is a, you put your value for a in the equation. Okay, and then now you got your x on it. So to find the y-intercept of the coordinate of the y-intercept of the turning point, you substitute the value of x into the original equation to find the y-intercept. So let's just say my x there was 4, and then my equation is y is equals to 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. So to find the y-intercept, I would just say y is equals to 2 4 squared plus 4 plus 2. Then I do my maths. Maybe if I find 16. So since I set my x is equals to 4, where there is x, I put what? 4, and then I get 16. I'm just assuming. So my turning point will be 4 and 16. You see, so this is where my graph will turn. I have my x value, I have my y value. So if learn you find out your x is what, if maybe you find out your y value is 6, therefore izobani ama-coordinates wakho izobani 0 and 6, because x, these are the rules for ama-coordinates. The first value of the coordinates is x, the second one is y. And then for y, if you find out your y is equals to, wait man, for x, if you find out x is equals to 4, it's gonna be what? 4 and 0, because it is x, this is y. We said y is equals to 0. And then for the axis of symmetry, that's how you do it. Then you plot. So let's do an example. So this is the example. They said sketch f of x, which is x squared minus 5x plus minus c. So what you have to know, f of x is the same as y. G of x, whatever of x, is the same as y. So you don't have to write f of x every time. So the first thing that you must do, you must find what? The y-intercept. Okay, so let's work now. Let's go. So I'm gonna summarize my things, but I'll be explaining. So the y-intercept, you let x is equal to 0. Okay, so now let's start. I'm gonna say y is equals to x squared minus 5x minus 6. I said let x is equals to 0, then it's gonna be y is equals to 0 squared minus 5 times 0 minus 6. Okay, and then everything times 0 is what? Is 0. Then y is equals to negative 6. Then I will write my coordinates 0 and what? Negative 6. You see, this thing is helping you to know where you are gonna put your values. Okay, this is the y value, the y coordinate. Okay, number 2, we said you find the what? The x-intercept. So x-intercept, let y is equals to 0. You put your equation y is equals to x squared minus 5x minus 6. Where there is y, you put what? 0. So where there is y, you put 0. So it's gonna be 0 is equals to x squared minus 5x minus 6. But when I check here, I see a quadratic equation. I can use the quadratic formula to get the x numbers, but I'll just factorize it. But if you can do your quadratic formula whereby x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, whatever, you'll get the values. But I'll just factorize. So this is x minus 6, this is x plus 1 equals to 0. Then x minus 6 is equals to 0, or x plus 1 is equals to 0. Then my x is equals to 6, or my x is equals to 1, a negative 1, sorry. Okay, so since it is like this, it's gonna be 6 and 0, negative 1 and 0. Because you must know what your parabola is what, like this or like this. It must cross into on two x intercepts, on two x values. So that's why we have two x values. So they are just showing you the guideline. They are just showing you what to do. Okay, so now number 3, let me do the next one. Remember my rule. I said number 3, you do what? You find the axis of symmetry. What is the axis of symmetry? It is the x value of the turning point. Okay, so I'm gonna substitute. Okay, and then x is equals to negative, what is my b? It is negative 5. So I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna say minus 5 over 2, 1. It was x squared, which is 1. So this is 5 over 2. This is my x value for the turning point. I already got it because a negative times a negative is a 5, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So now, since I have my x value of the turning point, let me find my my y value of the turning point. So you're gonna say step 4. You do everything like this, and they have marks, because sometimes they can just give you the question like that and say sketch that, 9 marks, 10 marks. So you have to know each and every step. So let's go. Y is equals to x squared minus 5x minus 6, and then I'm looking for y, so y is equals to 5 over 2 squared minus 5 over 2 minus 6. Then y is equals to let me check my calculator. So my y is equals to 49 over 4, negative 49 over 4. You can even say f of it will confuse you. Just know which your y is equals to negative 49 over 4. Then you will say, therefore, your TP is what? 5 over 2 and negative 49 over 4. You are done. You did the 5 steps. Now, let's plot the graph. Before plotting the graph, let's write our data, because maybe you might even forget. So, what is our y coordinate is what? 0 and negative 6. The x coordinates, it's what? 6 and 0 and what? Negative 1 and 0. Okay, what is the turning point? TP, it is what? 5 over 2 and negative 49 over 4. So now we can sketch so that you cannot forget. So this is your y, this is your x. Okay, so now we can sketch. What do we start with? Let's start with the y value. It is negative 6. Okay, so you'll come somewhere here. You don't have to do your 1 2 3 4. No, you don't have to do that. Just put value, so it says negative 6 there. And then I have my negative 1, which is somewhere here. I have my 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is 2,5. So it's going to be 1 2. Then it's going to be somewhere here, 5 over 2. You put your values just like that. Then you'll join. And then now let's find the turning points. Here you'll have to use your calculator to find the turning points. You'll have to convert these things into the coordinates. But let me check. 5 over 2 is there, which is the turning point. What is my other value of x? It is what? Positive 6. So I'm going to put 6 here. So what you have to know is that this one is the turning point, is the x value of the turning point, not the x-intercept. Negative 49 over 4 is somewhere here underneath 6. So this is how it's going to happen. So it's negative 49 over 4. Before you sketch, you have to make sure where is your turning point. Do like this. Do like this. Your y and x value of the turning points must correspond. So they meet here. Okay, so your graph will look like this. I'm not a what artist, so you just have to make sure that your graph passes through every point. You see, so the graph passed at my x-intercept, it passed at my y-intercept, and passed where this is the turning point, TP. You see, this is the TP, because this is the x value of the turning point, this is the y value of the turning point. Okay, and then if maybe they say find the range is the what? Is the x of a set of y values. So we can say y is greater than negative 49 over 4, because what I have here is the happy face, so it is the happy graph. Okay, and then my domain is the what set of x values. This is a parabola. You must know what the graph doesn't end, so it's gonna be negative infinity less than x less than positive infinity. Then you can say x element of real numbers. Okay, so that's how you do it, guys. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. So don't forget, you find the y-intercept whereby x is equals to 0, and then you find the x-intercept whereby the 4 is equals to 0. That's how you search for sketching the parabola. Y-intercept x is equals to 0, x-intercept y is equals to 0, x is of symmetry, it is the x value of the turning point, and then you do what? You substitute the x value into the original equation to find the what? The y coordinate of the what? Of the turning point. Okay, so that's how you do it, guys. So you have 4 steps to do for sketching a parabola graph. So don't forget to do this. Is where the two graphs meet. So thank you, guys.